Hey guys, make sure you stick around at the end of this episode of Always Open for a very special segment that we filmed a while back with Chelsea Fagan, who is the founder of the Financial Diet. Me and Mariel sit down with her, and it's wonderful, so make sure you stick around after the show.
It was like a tenured professor who teaches a vampire class. No joke. One of the best classes ever took, because it was all about othering, which is an actually very relevant, like, sort of thing that's happening. Like when an entire society says, like, this one group is bad.
So it's not all about the history of vampires.
Oh no, it absolutely was all about the history of vampires. There was even a class where he was like, Jesus, the original vampire, and he was like, look, I've got forms for you to complain to the UT student government or whatever. He was like, fill it out here. I'm tenured. They're not gonna fire me, but just because if you're angry, here it is. And I was like,
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Always Open. I'm your host, Barbara Dunkelman. I talked during the song this time. Is that what you guys want?
yes.
Okay. I did it right. On today's episode, I got some lovely boys and a very happy girl. Starting with...
Hi, I'm Trevor.
And I'm Max.
Shit, that's mine. Hey.
Hi, Mariel.
Your friendly neighborhood She-Hulk.
How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm alive. I'm not as alive as I was on Friday.
I think you were the most alive you've ever been on Friday. Actually.
You were like Jonah Hill, get him to the Greek.
Yep.
I'm alive! You seen that? That's where you were at, and I loved every minute of it.
Thank you.
So did the
You
audience.
killed it.
Thank you.
You killed it.
You were really don't stop me now. I'm having such a good time.
That's exactly where I was. I don't remember a single bit of it. But I can say that I now know how Bruce Banner feels.
Oh, when he gets angry?
When he's post Hulk and he's looking back, he's like, fuck, I really destroyed some shit.
Oh, he's got some mean,
I destroyed the whole city of New York, didn't I? Fuck.
Yeah, he's got some mean Hulk hangovers.
Oh, yeah.
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 How does he feel, do you think, after he de-hulks?
Probably like me.
Like, is it like after you come?
Probably like,
regret
man,
it.
I gotta go to the store again. I just busted out of my clothes for the 10th time today.
Now I'm naked.
Again.
Have you guys
He loves
seen the live-action Scooby-Doo movie
Yeah.
Yes.
with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's from
Years ago.
19?
It's not that old. It's like true 2000s.
Not 19, yeah.
Yeah, it's 2000s. But there's a scene where their spirits kind of like soar out of them and they like swap. And I felt like that, except it was like the spirits of Jack and Jeremy and Michael were all swirling around.
Just crammed in.
And instead of going to individual people, they just all fought their way through me. And so I was all of them at once. So yeah, I'm really happy to be here. It's very safe.
Back in a
There's
little
no
safe zone.
swords.
Yeah. Well, that was your fault. Mariel brought a sword. If you have no idea what we're talking about, by the way, we took over Off Topic, which is Achievement Hunters podcast that they do on Fridays. It's up available on YouTube and our website, so check it out. They took over Always Open last week, and they were such good boys.
Very good boys. Very happy
good
with
boys.
my boys in that one. Yeah.
What,
They were very polite.
Did they talk about it after in the Achievement Hunter office?
Yeah, I mean, they just kind of like told that they were going to dress up. They're going to be very polite, very good, very
did dress up.
very classy. And they were very classy. I was very proud.
Almost
you
too
know?
classy.
Here's the thing.
No,
Scarily
can't be too
classy.
classy. Come on,
Is that
pump the brakes.
they didn't even swear. Every time they were about to swear or someone would swear, they'd be like, no, hey, we don't do that. And I was like, we swear so much on this fucking show.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's what happened is that both of our groups took it to the extreme.
Yes.
So they went very classy. They kept on topic very well. They dressed up. They didn't swear. They were very good boys.
Yes.
And then we were the polar opposite.
Yes. Well, Michael said at the end of the Always Open episode, he said, I want them to break shit. I want them to, I want Eric to pull his hair out. I want
Someone to get
black
blackout
out.
drunk.
And I was like, check, check, check. We did it.
I was
it
so
all.
proud of you. You broke a light in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Did you actually break it? Did you break it, Cody?
I unhooked a cord or something, right?
Jeez.
I did something where it wasn't actually broken, but it just got detached.
Broken in your traditional broadcast sense, where things normally work, you
Is that.
made it not that way.
One of my last memories, which is terrible because it was literally 30 seconds into the show, was Cody angrily coming over and slamming his ladder down, and then like just fucking glaring at you and like climbing up his ladder and like fixing the light. That's like the last thing I remember.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
no.
was.
Are you serious?
At
That
the
was
beginning
about
of the show.
30 seconds into the show, yeah.
Yeah.
I've showed up like 30 minutes into it, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll go and check out and jump on there. And I walk in, and there are 7 people all around.
Yeah.
And everybody's screaming. And I was like, this is incredible. And I sat there and I watched it for like at least 15 minutes, and it was just
Oh no.
It was
so beautiful.
It was so
Beautiful train
reminiscent
wreck.
of that like Extra Life vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's just like
Chaos.
Chaos. Yeah, that
Well,
spooky
I think
hour.
we took like it was like the episodes of Off Topic that you guys have every once in a while where like Michael goes off the rails or Jeremy goes
Which
off
is like
the rails.
at this point once every few months.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't
used
happen
to happen
often.
regrettably often.
Right, and now it doesn't happen as often. But it's like we
yeah.
took all of that and then shoved it just into one episode.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were like, "Oh, this isn't how like yes, Off Topic can get chaotic, but it's not this." And it's like, yeah, but like we were taking it to the extreme. Like we were doing
Just
this
like
on
we did
purpose.
like you said, it's like
Right.
we did the extremes of each other's shows, because
Exactly.
that's what I find to be the most fun,
Mm-hmm.
and like the juxtaposition of energies there is just like
Yep.
Well,
that's what it's supposed to be.
I know we're talking a lot about drunk Mariel, but drunk Barbara is really funny to me because you like sometimes you do this thing where you're like just sitting and you look normal, like she's just having a normal day, but there's a look in her eye and it's kind of like a
The glazed over, not quite.
no.
focusing.
It's like mischief. You're like. And then, like, I saw you doing that, and I was like, she's pretty drunk, huh? And then you took a moonball and threw it over there.
I'm more of like a quiet, like observant drunk. But Chad actually pointed this out to me. He said he was watching part of the show and he was able to tell when I was drunk because I just kind of went. And just kind of slouched in my chair and I was just like spinning around and like watching
Yeah.
everything. And then I would get up and just like smash cake on the ground or
I
whatever.
feel like I need to give a disclaimer in that like everyone was saying, "Oh, I can't believe this is what Mariel is like when she's drunk." I am not like that when I'm drunk.
I've
but
never seen you like that.
When you combine the energy of doing a live show, which we don't ever do, we had literally like 20 people in the audience watching.
Yeah.
And also, I happened to be on a decongestant that morning, which makes
Yeah.
your heart race, which I say in like the very beginning of the show. So that turned me into fucking Hulk. Like,
Yeah, it literally did. But I'm glad we made you guys proud.
yes.
We're very proud.
Yes.
Very proud of you.
Well, I'm also glad to have you guys back on the show.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
been
happy
a
to
hot,
be
hot
here.
second.
Yeah.
Even though Max came on the show and instantly copied my eye makeup.
I know. It's
So
kind of embarrassing. One of you has to change.
Mm.
Who's going to change?
I'll
don't
do
know.
it now.
Like blue streaks all over your face.
It looks good. Well, let's do our shot before I forget. Texas made us all different shots.
It did.
These are melon balls. Yes, melon balls.
Melon balls for the two of you. What do you have?
Straight whiskey.
You know I don't like fruit, so I only drink
Oh,
straight
that's
whiskey.
right.
Yeah.
So I don't want to bully you too much, but if you smelled this,
Oh, no,
would
he
you have
would-
a time? Cut on Max camera.
What about this?
Cut on Max camera.
What is that?
It's pineapple.
It's just pineapple juice. I was
Nope.
like, I don't think I'm gonna drink for a while. I think
Yeah,
I'm just
Meryl's taking a little break. But
Nice
cheers,
and
everybody.
green. Cheers.
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 my
I'll
friends.
still shoot some juice.
I'll do
though.
your thing with the tap and the clap.
That's so yummy. I don't want to shoot it. I just want to sip it.
Yeah, this was also tasty. Thank you,
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah.
That was fine whiskey.
Yeah. Fine with.
Only the finest
Right.
here on Always Open.
Oh, lovely.
It's true. We're good girls and boys.
I like the repetition of good because it's both goods.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good, good.
Good, good.
Good. All right, well, let's get things started with Which Would You Choose, which we actually played on the show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's this little game that Trevor and I actually found at a store
Trevor.
a couple months ago.
Kinokuniya.
Kinokuniya, right next to
Bookstore.
Kura Sushi. Very delicious.
Yes.
So I'm just going to ask you guys some questions and then we'll discuss.
Judgmental.
Judgment.
I'm ready. Ready to be judged.
Is this the thing?
All right.
We're doing this?
That's
So
what I do.
basically, I'll give you
I get nervous.
2 different options and then say which you would prefer and we'll chat. All right.
Okay, I'm ready.
Your best friend turns out to be a spy for a hostile foreign power, or your best friend turns out to be a bank robber in hiding.
So they're a foreign spy or a bank robber
Yeah.
in hiding.
In hiding.
I would prefer a bank robber. Split the quiche, all right, or blackmail them.
True. I would prefer the spy. It's sexier.
Yeah, I would say like spy because it's like there's gonna be like suitcases, briefcases.
Yeah, lots of
You're gonna
suitcases.
You're gonna be trading them all around.
Where
You're
are
gonna be
they?
hiding.
If your friend was a legit foreign spy, then it hits on you would probably be out.
Yeah, no, if you get found, you're gonna get bagged and tagged. You're gonna disappear at dawn before you know what's happened.
I guess disappear at dawn.
Yeah, someone's gonna, and then like you wake up missing.
I don't know. I think of my best friend and I think of her being either one of those, and it's just laughably,
Laughably funny.
ridiculous.
I wonder what,
But
if
a
you were
spy,
one of those.
sexy.
Yeah, I feel like spies
All right.
are really cool.
Listen here, I'm a Russian spy, and I'm telling the truth.
You don't look.
I also just broke into a vault, the biggest vault that ever
What?
existed. It was at Bank 2. They made a second one.
Bank
It's
2.
in New York. It's where they stashed the chandelier.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait.
Which
Everyone-
which reality do you prefer?
The chandelier. The bank.
Yeah,
being
we
a bank
could
robber.
use a good chandelier. That's why I picked it. I'm glad you liked it. You know.
We're decorating. All right. Season tickets to your favorite sports team, but they will lose every game you attend.
That was my senior year of college.
Or you could never again watch your favorite sports team, but they will always win. I would never watch and they always win.
Yeah.
I think so. Well,
I don't know. I only watch college football. I only watch the Longhorns play. I don't really watch anything
so
else.
imagine if it's
But I
season
do
tickets to
really
the
watch.
Longhorns.
Well, like I said, I've already lived through that, so I'll do it again. That was
Okay.
basically my entire college career was them just sucking ass.
Yeah, I still don't understand football, and people have tried to explain it, and I
Do you
know
watch
it
any
wouldn't.
sport?
No, sometimes no. I would say like basketball maybe, but like maybe for like 5 minutes and then get immediately bored and go do something else.
Yeah. I get you. But it's like, as someone who has attended a lot of sports games, like I used to go to hockey games all the time back home, it's so much fun to watch live sports. But then if your team loses, it sucks all the energy out of you, and like
Yeah.
you just feel depressed all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it'd be great to go to those games, but if you know like if they're gonna lose every time,
Yeah.
it's just like that sucks.
Doesn't matter how close the game is, because if you know that they're gonna end with a loss, it's like
Yeah.
Sure.
there's like the fun is you're not invested. It's the same as if like one team is killing the other team, then you're just like I'm gonna leave in the third quarter because like what's the point?
What's the point?
Would it if they were always winning but you never watched them? Because again, I don't understand like the fandom of sports. Wouldn't you just eventually not really care about that team and probably move on to another team? Where it's like
But
your
then you'd
team
watch
me?
them and then they would start losing,
Oh.
right?
I don't know.
Is that how that works?
These are just random hypotheticals. It's funny, I read the other one as you guys were talking, and now I'm convinced that these were written by someone who was probably very stoned. Because this one is, choose between these two.
Okay.
You could hear colors,
Okay.
or you can taste colors.
Oh, taste.
But what does
I
that
want to taste
mean?
purple.
Well,
Well, now you can.
you can. There are people that can hear colors already.
thought
There's like 100 of them in the world.
I thought it was something like you could see sound
Synesthesia?
or something. What?
What?
Like there's people who could like see.
Isn't
like-
it synesthesia?
It's very close.
Something
Something
near
like that.
there. Dang it.
So what happens is when they hear specific notes, they see specific colors. And actually people have like, oh, I see the same exact color at the same note. Like some people have it the exact same, which is really cool. So then like when they listen to music, it's like very chromatic.
Yeah.
Oh, that would
But
be cool.
tasting, that definitely sounds like someone who's had some LSD or something like
Yeah.
that. I don't know what that would be
Look, you
like.
can already taste color. I don't know. When I think of, I think of, well, my mind just goes to orange, but I feel like that's cheating.
Or purple, because like grape.
grape.
You think of
I mean,
grape.
green. I think of leaves. I could eat a piece of spinach.
I would rather
just
hear
with
colors.
green. Yeah, I agree.
This-
If I had to choose between these
Yeah.
two very weirdly
Yeah.
worded.
I also really like cooking, and I feel like it would be really annoying if only I could taste color, and so I'd be like, "You've got to try out this chartreuse. It's
Yeah.
so good." And then they're like, "It doesn't taste like anything."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It's
This
beautiful, though.
tastes
Yeah.
red. I don't know, that's weird.
"Done."
Oh.
Okay.
Access to a time machine or access to a teleportation machine?
Teleportation.
Teleportation.
think
Time
so?
machine. Terrible idea.
Well, what- let's-
No.
Paradoxes.
For
and-
this hypothetical, let's say there's no butterfly effect.
Okay, still like,
Although I guess that
Yeah,
was
I
the
Can't
point.
get over that.
yeah, like if
I don't
you
know,
if you're
there's
not.
just nothing I want to. I mean, there's things I would want to see, but there's nothing I want to see bad enough. Where now there's places I would love to go that like. I can just teleport.
What if it was like a time machine in terms of like, oh, I shouldn't have said that to that person. Let me go back to that day. And
I would
not
go back
do that.
to off topic and delete it all.
just,
break the
slow.
hard drive with the render.
sorry.
Oops.
Or
I dropped
just
my Coke.
stop myself. I would stop Texas from feeding me shots.
I mean,
Texas.
Texas is what?
Video evidence.
both of these would be neat, but I'm sure like I'd get some sort of looper situation, and Samuel L. would start coming after me. He's like, I see this guy bouncing all over the world.
I would
And
also
then you got
choose
problems.
teleportation.
But yeah, I like travel.
Just because, just to be able to be like, let's go to Paris today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for lunch, just
Or just, let's go to back home.
let's go to
Right.
back home.
Yeah. What if it took a week off your life every time you used it?
Sure.
I would have it, but just like put it on a shelf and let it collect dust. Time is way too valuable to
Even
like
this-
be thrown away like that.
No, I mean you gotta just.
If it was
gotta
shorter,
just do
maybe
it.
like a
You
day.
like zip over to
Gotta do it.
McDonald's and
What
like
about a day?
zip back, and 2 weeks are gone.
What about a day? Day off your life.
No.
With a day,
more.
you lose a day traveling, basically. Like if you're traveling overseas, you're losing a day anyway.
Depends on how far I'm
Correct.
going.
Like,
But
Yeah.
no, I want my miles.
We love those upgrades.
You're upgrading when you could skip the whole process altogether.
Well, speaking
Anyway.
of teleportation machines and time machines, you know what else is technically a time machine?
What is it?
Watches. What? Because they could tell time. What a
I like that.
thank you.
That's good.
Thanks,
Segue.
Trevor. Such a supportive boyfriend. This episode of Always Open is brought to you by Movement. It's our all-time favorite underdog success story, founded on the belief that style shouldn't break the bank. They sold almost 2 million watches worldwide by bringing quality designs at fair prices. Ooh, fair prices.
ooh, fair.
They just released their Gritty Glow edition, and it's super cool. Check out their neon glasses or super sleek watches. We love Movement and are big fans of their watches and sunglasses. Trevor, you and I have the same pair of sunglasses from
That
Movement,
I also
Yes.
have.
which Meryl has as well.
Yeah. Triplets.
I
Yeah.
don't have fun.
You should get them too.
I'm gonna try.
We'll tell you about a discount later on. And then I think I might have 6 different Movement watches for different outfits. I
Makes
love them all.
sense.
One of my favorite ones is it's like a light pink band with a white watch face. It's so pretty, so classy. Highly recommend it. Movement watches are all about looking good while keeping it simple. They don't tell you how many steps you've taken or blow your wrist up with text messages. They're not overly intrusive on life with notifications, text messages, emails, etc. They tell the time like true classic timepieces should and look good doing it. Movement watches start at just $95. You're looking at $400 for the same quality from a traditional brand. You could get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to mvmt.com/open. Movement is launching new styles on their site all the time, including those neon ones I mentioned before. So check out their latest at movement.com. Go to mvmt.com/open and join the movement. Thank you, Movement.
Movement. Ooh, is it the?
Movement.
It's a movement chair. Hey.
That was a good beat.
We did
That's
it.
nice.
That was nice. That was
Yeah.
very nice. Good
like
teamwork.
We got there.
Yeah, we got there.
We were in on that.
Squad goals.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our first question of the show. This is submitted by Marina T. And Marina would like to know, what did you think you would grow out of but haven't?
There's so many answers to this because it's like you could go with something like video games, for example, or
Yeah.
like or cartoons. Like I love all sorts of television and stuff, but like
You and I still watch cartoons.
yes.
Saturday morning cartoons.
Yep. Sometimes we wake
well,
up and we'll
sometimes.
put on some cartoons. and
I
stuff.
introduced him to The Simpsons. Not that you didn't know what it was.
like-
but-
Right.
Boy,
But I never sat down.
Light growing up.
I never sat down and was like, let's watch The Simpsons and then move through it and like actually.
Yeah.
So we started way back in season 2.
yeah, we.
Oh, you didn't even go OG.
Season one of The Simpsons is good, but I feel like if you're starting out, it's kind of like it's not the best The Simpsons has been. I think it really kicks off season 3 onwards.
Yeah.
How many seasons are there now?
30
something.
something? I don't know.
But I fell off probably around season 22.
yeah.
Never watched
21.
this.
Well, the
2
show
to
has been
22.
around
Yeah,
long
I
enough
haven't
that
watched it that much.
it's become a different beast, you know. It's
Been around as long as I've been alive,
yeah.
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 or even longer. I'm
You
almost
only
30.
look 25 seasons old.
You. Wow. But now it's funny because like he now understands a lot of my humor a little more
Yeah.
from
A lot of like references and stuff and yeah.
and like types of jokes I would make. It's all from The Simpsons. That was like my big influence growing up. But what about you guys? What do you think? What you have grown out of,
so,
or
like,
didn't grow out of?
I definitely thought like there is a specific type of video game, and it's always like the very Japanese RPG that I never finish. Don't even probably get halfway through any of them.
Yeah.
Still buy them. Get excited about buying them. Get excited booting it up. I'm like, oh, I'm about to have 90 hours in Persona Q, Enter the Labyrinth, or Persona 5, or Shin Megami Tensei, or Final Fantasy.
When did you start playing those games? Like, how young were you?
Like, probably like middle school was the first Final Fantasy I played was Final Fantasy VIII, and so then that was basically what kicked it off, and that was probably about like 7th grade. And then now it's just, again, like I do not have the attention span for most video games, definitely not for 90-hour-long dungeon crawling things that have like relationship, like, you know, whatever. And I still buy them. I buy them all the time.
What you're saying is it's the journey, not the destination.
I think
So
it's
you're
just,
having fun up until a point, and then life happens, and you just kind of you float away.
You're still
Floating
playing.
around and doing things.
I think I just like buying video games. I really like going to the GameStop and being like,
Oh,
ooh.
you're a physical copy kind of man.
Well, yeah, because I don't have good internet. But even if
You
I
also
did
gotta, like,
have good internet,
build a collection.
well, I just like going there and I'm like, I might buy this one, but I'm gonna
you-
buy it.
Let me ask you a question. Do you like the smells?
No, I tried doing that as a joke one time. If you open up a new video game case and smell it, it's you're gonna die.
Okay.
It's the worst smell.
I don't know about that. I just mean like the cellophane, like the plastic, the fresh. We opened up a new controller in the office the other day, and we were like playing around with it, and then and it was like so nostalgic for me because like all my games are digital now, and like, but it took me straight back to the days of like when you just happen to get a new physical game as like a gift or whatever, fresh out of the store, used a gift card, and you're like, you open it up, and that smell hits you whether you want it or not, and you're just like, I have a new game. This is amazing.
Crazy
Yeah.
how much smell triggers
Oh
memory.
yeah, the olfactory
Yeah.
senses are crazy for
Poor John.
memory.
Poor John Rising.
He has
know.
no memories. Can't remember anything.
Not
remember anything.
Can't remember.
I have very bad sense of smell, so like, and also I'm very terrible at remembering anything, so
Maybe that's why.
Hand in hand.
could be.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But yeah, it's kind of like my thing.
For me, it's a little more, I would say, broad, where I thought as a kid I would someday think that I would figure things out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That being life in general. Being like, oh, like my parents, they know everything.
Yep.
They can figure anything out. They have a handle on all this stuff. They know what they're doing. And I'm like, when I grow up, I'm sure like, I get that. That's part of growing up, right? And it's part of becoming an adult. I don't have a fucking clue.
Like when you hit 18, you get a box of responsibilities and like understanding, and you just know how the world works.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
Or
Like
just, like-
everyone's just making it up.
especially when I was a kid and I was like, right now, almost 30, I would think like, oh, 30-year-old, fucking old. Like, they know how to do taxes, they know everything about finances and all this stuff. I don't know fucking shit.
Yeah.
At all.
That's like the adult secret. Parents just
know
never
shit.
told us that they
Yeah.
didn't know
Oh,
what was
right.
happening.
They're just
Didn't
making
have
it
a
up.
single
am
damn clue.
Faking it
Yeah.
so hard. If it wasn't for Google and some like really smart people here at the company, I'd be real bad.
Really though, what would we do without Google and YouTube? Like just being able to be like, hey, what is that? Okay. Now I know.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the collective intelligence. So like you said, you either have a bunch of friends that like you know that and you know that, or family members
Yep.
or whatever. Google just gives us access to a wider array. 'Cause,
Sometimes
like
for the
otherwise
worst.
well yeah, sometimes.
You have cancer.
Oh yeah.
my
Every
gosh.
single time.
Yep.
Yep.
Toothache,
My jaw's
cancer.
been hurting, and I was like, I'm afraid to look it up on WebMD because I know I have cancer.
Yeah.
I have to
it'll be
keep my
like-
husband off of WebMD because like there's literally was a time when it was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm dying of like super cancer.
Yeah.
And then like he finally went to the doctor because he never goes, and then finally went and they were just, no, you're just really unhealthy, just like a little bit overweight, and you gotta like work all this shit out.
Yeah.
Eat
Well,
a carrot.
I also get
Carrot.
I also get paranoid because, like, the other night we were in bed, and my
it.
right side,
Whoa.
Sleeping.
we were going to bed. My right side was hurting a little bit, and I was like in one of those states where I talked about that on the show before, where at night I get really anxious and like paranoid about stuff, and I remember Trevor years ago had to get his appendix out, and that always starts with pain in your right side, and I'm like, holy shit! Like,
Yeah.
Happening.
is my appendix gonna burst? What else did you? Other
What
symptoms
else is
did you
there?
have?
Yeah. Like,
And it turns out it was just like
I got my
Yeah.
appendix taken out.
hey.
Did you really?
Handy buddies.
When I was 2.
Well,
Oh damn.
Mine burst.
You were 25.
It was the end of 2016, I think. 2016. So I
like-
just turned 26, I think. Happy birthday. right?
Yeah.
It was literally like the week before my birthday.
Ugh.
And did it rupture?
And then I think we saw. I think it was episode 9 was out that year because we had a company screening. Like the whole company like went and
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm not missing that. So I hobbled in, and on painkillers, and I was like, I'm gonna watch fucking Star Wars, and it was good. And I had 2 servings of cookies, and if you've never been to the Alamo, there's 4 cookies in there. I
Yep.
was like, 4 cookies, all right. They're huge.
Trevor loves his cookies.
So you ordered.
Yeah, that was my dinner. I had 2 things of cookies and
and a
man.
bottle of painkillers.
It's-
Well, no, not a
Wait,
Wait,
bottle.
did your appendix rupture or was
No, it was like a couple days of just like feeling like you don't normally feel your innards.
Right.
So like something felt awkwardly out of place, like present, you know? And so I'm like, what is this, like a hemorrhoid or something like that? Like, I have no idea. Didn't hurt. And then I go to bed one night, normal, and then like I wake up 2 hours later, just like sweating. I'm like, I hurt. Like I feel like death. And I messaged Lindsay like, might be in late. I feel like death.
Yeah.
And then like I had a fever going, and so it just ramped up real quick.
Yeah.
And so I went over to.
That's what scares me
ER.
about stuff like that. Is just
yeah.
like you get something where you don't even think twice about it, and
Yeah.
then all
Well-
of a sudden it
Yeah.
hits you like a truck.
Know where your local like. Well, if you have a doctor, you know, like that's good. It's good to have like a general physician or whatever. But like if you don't, or if you have an emergency, know where your like nearest standalone emergency center is, or like nearest ER or whatever.
Yeah, always
And
important.
like. You know, just be vigilant. Just see somebody if you can. I mean, it's America, so it's
But
gonna,
also
See
don't
something,
be-
you're gonna
say
go in debt when
something.
you got, you know. But
Don't get
whatever.
too
terrible.
Yeah, don't be too paranoid.
Two paranoid like me.
Yeah.
Every little thing, I'm like, I'm dying now.
Yeah.
Well, you started off talking about video games and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's like a lot of things like that, like the quintessential items, but like really when I think about it, like things I didn't think I'd grow up out of. Like it's like a multifaceted, like I would say like I thought I was very goofballish. I still am, but like when I was a kid, I was like a troublemaker because I would just like throw schoolwork to the side and be like, I just want to make somebody laugh, or I just like whatever I can do to like put a smile on someone's face or whatever. So I'd get in trouble, go to the principal all the time just because like I'd disrupt and distract. My attention was all over the place all the time. So it was just like, I'll grow up out of this. Like that was always something I figured I'd grow up out of, was this like kind of ADD, like goofball, like off the wall kind of kid. And like, I guess I didn't really ever grow up out of it. I just figured how to hone it and control it. And so it was more
I
directed.
feel like that's
and productive?
the majority of,
Yeah.
especially at Rooster Teeth.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
I think we're all just a bunch of children with that kind of goofball mentality that we've just.
Oh, I definitely thought I was
channeling.
going to become serious at some point.
Yeah.
And like I definitely was like, I'll be serious, and then people will take me seriously. And then it's like at
to
any
you.
opportunity
Cut
to do something stupid,
Yeah.
I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like let's
Life-
get in the car.
Life is just fun, and it's just
Yeah.
it's nice to
Yeah.
be happy and positive and have a good time. and put a smile on someone's
I always
face.
say like people who are weird, those are my kind of people.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like life is so boring.
Austin.
If you're not like weird or goofy, or like if you take life too seriously, it loses all the fun.
Yeah.
And that's something that I always appreciate about Trevor is that like we're both very immature and goofy. Like he does this thing to me all the time.
What is it?
where-
What do I do?
I thought you're Barb. You don't have to get that graphic on the show.
Yeah, you can't.
I know it's
can't
always
go.
open, but you don't really have to talk.
He does this thing where we'll be in the same room, like watching TV or something, and I'll get up to go to the bathroom, and I'll come back out, and he's not there. And I'm like, where are you? I'm like, Trevor, and I just hear,
I like to give her a hint so she knows I'm not going to scare her or anything.
giggling somewhere, and it's one of two things. Either he's like literally lying on the floor with his head poked out, like out of the cabinet,
Or like the bottom of the couch or something.
On the
like
ground?
Weird.
or I'll turn around a corner and his naked ass will just be just like be holding it outside of a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh every time.
Yeah.
Just a bare ass is so funny.
It's the best.
You just
Yeah.
turn a corner and you see a bare ass.
It makes your day.
God, what else do you want? You know?
Yeah.
What more do you need in this life?
Just bare ass.
Yeah. It's stuff like that, but also I always thought I would grow out of like enjoying and finding humor in like farts and dick jokes and stuff like that, but
We're all human.
No, I don't think that's ever gonna fade away. I think I'm gonna be 85 and still laughing at that stuff.
And I
of
thought I'd
course.
grow out a lot of stuff. Like I thought you like even because like when you grow up, yes, you are an accountant and you are a businessman and an engineer and a firefighter and all these
Businessman.
things. And businessman.
Oh, me? I'm a businessman.
Or businesswoman.
Or Dunkelman.
you know, whatever.
A dump-
So like I was like, okay, at some point, I'll go do this thing and you forget about these extra hobbies and extracurriculars and your passions or whatever. Maybe you don't forget about them, but you don't have time.
They
for them,
fall
whatever.
to the wayside.
Yeah, and that certainly happens to an extent, but I'm very fortunate to have been able to kind of direct my career in a way that kind of grabs in a couple of those things like creativity and like being a goofball and like being able to like make people laugh, but then also like on the side trying to like enjoy things like film or like I'm trying to get back into the music stuff and all that. It's like, yeah.
What about you, Meryl? What do you think you'd grow out of?
I think just my relationship with my family, like in terms of like my older brother and I, we've always had this kind of, like he's always been my older brother. He always picks on me and stuff, that kind of stuff, and that kind of came with us into our adulthood, which I love. Like it's fine.
Very close.
And also how much I rely on my parents, not like monetarily, but like they grew up from being these like people that I'm like, okay, I have to listen to and like pay attention to and make sure that I follow every order. But now they're the people that I go to. I'm like, hey, I have this issue. Like, how can, and I think it's also for them, it's, they like having that. They like having that relationship with me.
Sure.
It's like now
I think
it's
most
like more of
parents
a
would love.
partnership and more of like a, I call on them and be like the other day, my car wouldn't start. And I was like, called everyone I needed to call to let them know first. But then I called my dad and I was just like, what am I going to do about this? And he was like, well, just go to the store and buy a new battery. And I was like, thanks, Dad. You always know what to
See,
do.
that's the thing, though. Where when I was a kid, I was like, I'll know what to do in every situation because my parents will always know what to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know what to do in that situation too, but I think I get pleasure in letting my parents know that kind of stuff because I think they like it as well.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, like she's, even if it's the little doldrums of her day, like she's still like keeping us informed. And
Yeah, sure.
I would say that's similar with us as well. Like especially my dad, it just like anything I say like that I'm having an issue with or that I want advice on, he like goes above and beyond.
Oh, they love to help.
He'll be like
Yeah.
sending me like articles and like stuff for days on this thing that I had a question about. And your dad too.
Yeah, they want to help in any way. They want to think of every possible outcome so you're like well armed going into the world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
quite
Parents
nice.
fucking rule.
They do.
Yeah.
And so do games.
Video games.
Video games.
Even if you don't play them, you
Even
can
if you don't
still
play
buy them and feel something good.
I think that's the great thing though about being an independent adult is like you could do all that.
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
And like you choose how you spend your time and what you want to eat for dinner and
Oh, yeah.
what you want to watch and what you want to play.
I don't tell my parents what I eat for dinner because they'd be so sad. I was like, yeah, I ate a cold Pop-Tart. It's like what I dreamed of eating as a kid. Be like, when I get older, man, I'm gonna eat
Yeah.
just all the bad shit. And now I'm like, I ate all the bad shit. I probably
Yeah.
shouldn't.
That was me before we started dating because like we spend pretty much every meal together, more or less, unless one of us is at work or away. But when I would like spend time alone, I would have like a bowl of Honey Nut Churros and some apple juice for dinner. And I would love it.
I love I'm that's the one thing that I've definitely like grown to appreciate more is cooking. I just I get so excited about it now, and on the weekends like I'm just bored and I'll be like I'm gonna find a really complicated recipe and try it.
Really?
Yeah, just
You
because
should
it's
come
fun.
cook for us.
Oh yeah, I mean like I did like I'm getting crazy out there.
Ooh, I love it.
Did like handmade gnocchi.
Ooh, okay, calm down.
Nice.
Easy, totally easy.
And you with the steaks.
Oh yeah.
We
That
love
was
to
also a
cook.
good
We love to
cook.
cook. I've cooked for you.
You did cook for me. You came
Yeah.
over to my place one time and cooked
Made you breakfast.
some breakfast for me and some ladies. And we
I
had
saw
good
a
time.
tweet the other day. I think that it said something like, when I was a kid, I used to think beer was the adult drink, and then I got older and I thought, oh no, it's actually liquor. And he was like, now that I'm adult, I realize that the adult drink is water.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's the
So
most
true.
adult thing you can
Oh,
drink. Is
God.
drink some
I relate
water.
to that so hard because that's what and you and I talk about it all the time. Like, you want some water? Do you want a glass of water? Because like we'll try to always be sitting around with water to just
Right.
sip on.
Yeah.
Or like when I'm going to and from offices, I'll like where's the nearest water cooler? Might as well
Oh, yeah.
hydrate.
Still
'cause, like,
something
it's
I'm
so
trying to
hard
work on.
remember.
It's attached at
yeah.
the hip now,
Yeah.
and every
Smart.
time I was like, this is like, because I never thought like. I never was like that person that was like, oh, I'll take my water bottle and run. And now it's like, it goes with me everywhere.
Everywhere.
And then the best thing is, like whenever you're asleep and you wake up in the middle of the night and you
And
get
you're
that
quenched.
ice cold water, you're like, I'm doing it. I'm
There's
living my dream.
Nothing better than an ice cold glass of water when you're starving or when you're dying of thirst.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that's something we're trying to be better about is drinking water and just eating better, cooking, which is, again, probably the most adult thing I've done in a while. Or ever, maybe. All right, well, let's move on. We got a voicemail from a gentleman about
Yes, a gentleman caller.
college, I believe.
Yes.
Let's give it a listen.
Hi, my name's Taylor, and I'll be leaving for college coming up this summer. And I just don't really know if it's the right move. I mean, it's a way for me to get out of my house, but the major I'd be going for isn't what I'm 100% certain on. I'd love to hear your opinions or even just your thoughts on whether or not I should take the leap and go for it or hold off and wait and see if I can find something that I really, truly want to do. Thank you.
Interesting.
I've got a very unrelatable take.
Let's hear it.
So my parents both worked at IBM, and so they had basically a college fund. So they
Irritable
were
bowel movements? No.
irritable bowel movements. They both worked
The
for irritable
company.
bowel movements, and let me tell you, business is good.
It's booming.
booming.
It's booming. It's blasting all over. And so they actually had it they had a college fund that they were able to put me and my brother through UT with.
Yeah.
And I went there for film. I went there for an RTF degree. I would say most of the people that I worked with when I was doing freelance before here, almost nobody had an RTF degree.
Yeah.
But I'm very conflicted. Well, I'm not conflicted. I think it's college is my husband didn't have the same luxury of doing that, and so he went for political science, and then basically he still has student loans to deal with, and now that we're married, that's our problem,
They're
you know,
your
I'm
loans, too.
guess what, I'm dealing with that too, and so I would say if it's an opportunity that is in some way paid for, I don't think there's any harm in going to
Is
it.
that something he mentioned? I might have.
He didn't say anything about it.
No.
I will say, kind of piggybacking off
Yeah.
of that, is college I'll answer this in two different directions. One way, it's an eye-opening experience, right? If you haven't ever been to college before, it's you're definitely out on your own, and you're have the opportunity to learn about many things about yourself, about what you like, about
But also
what
eat
the
a cold
world.
Pop-Tart for dinner.
You can have cold Pop-Tart for dinner.
Yeah.
But it is also, if you don't know what you want to do, can be a very expensive way to figure out what you want to do. So I would say we can arm you with advice, but so it's your decision in the end. But
We kind of give the
Disclaimer.
okay, cool.
disclaimer that it's these are always our opinions.
Yeah.
We're never experts on the situation.
Get a master's degree. You're gonna do it
And then
in
redo it.
English, and then you're not gonna teach.
I would
okay?
say you could go and hit your.
Did he just woo?
Oh, really? I would say go
Boo.
hit your general education courses that will generally fall into most
Yeah.
kind of categories, into most degrees, so that way you're still working towards just about anything while you kind of scope out what you find is interesting. You can also take some time to yourself, find a job in the meantime that will earn you a little bit of salary or some cash on the side to continue living and prospering, and
Yeah.
while you dabble with some hobbies that you if you haven't found something that drives you or gives you that passion that you want, because it's very difficult to go into college at 18 years old and go, this is what I want to do when I'm 45.
Especially after coming out of high school, where you literally are just in a mishmash
Yeah.
of things where nothing really gets narrowed down for you.
They
that
just
much
push
in
you
high
through
school.
standardized tests, and then you're out the other side, and you're I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's also my mom went to UT for I think it was actually for English, and the thing is that whenever she started working for IBM, computers were not a huge thing when she was in college,
Yeah.
and so her entire industry was invented after she was there, and so
That's happening a lot now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel a lot of major. I don't think it's really necessarily as important what your major is, But I will say also, like, my first year, I went to Austin Community College, and like actually a lot for like the basic courses versus UT's basic courses, because I took the second year doing there. I was like, ACC's, like, you would have some professors that are there because they're like, I just want to teach. I just want, like there was a history professor who was literally just like, I'm a state employee. I really, really like history. And so I'm going to just tell you all of it like a story. And it was an awesome class.
Sounds awesome.
He was
Someone
like,
who's
I just
actually
want to
passionate
talk
about it.
Yeah, you definitely got to, I found a lot more like passionate teachers at ACC. But I think like, I don't think it's a waste of time, but I also don't think it's as necessary as it is, because I've met so many people that never went or didn't have the opportunity to, and like they, they're super successful. I think it's just kind of depends on where you're trying to go, and if you have something that needs that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's no right answer to this question.
Oh
Yeah.
no, and I think the fact that he's like the major that I'm in isn't really something I want to do. Like I completely understand that. I was a pre-med bio major for 2 years of my college
Really?
experience. Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. I was gonna be a Dr. Salcedo, baby.
Wow, what a
Can you
different
imagine?
life course.
Can you imagine the girl who was on that show, who must not be named, being a doctor?
We should come up with an alter ego for drunk
Oh
Mariel.
God.
Doctor. She's a doctor.
Dr. Mariel.
Dr.
Salsa Mort.
Mariel Mort. But and I college for me was never anything that I myself like didn't have a choice on. I always wanted to go to college. My parents both are college grads, and they were very much like, "This is what you're doing now," and I was like, "Yes, this is what I want to do." But I didn't want to. I basically went into like the College of Natural Sciences here at UT, just being like, "Yeah, I guess." Like I don't really know. I knew I wanted to work in film and TV, but also in my brain had it as like, oh, this is just a hobby. Like I'll figure out a way to do it on the side. And I realized so much about myself within that like first and second year that I was just like, oh, like I could do so much. I could do anything I wanted, and limiting myself to this is like I'm gonna be miserable because I'm not gonna go to med school. I'm gonna end up working in a lab and like hate it. So I think I don't know. Like if you have the opportunity and like you like you don't need a degree to be a successful person. Like I think that's very, very important to note. But at the same time, if you have the opportunity, like there's so many people who don't have the opportunity to go to school and go to college and further their education. So if you have that opportunity, like you will have time to explore it and like figure that out. And like that's the great thing about college, because you can take classes that like are extracurriculars or something that may not be like in your field or major and be like, oh, wait, like that sounds really cool. I want to know more about that. I want to like kind of dive into that and kind of see.
Did you ever take vampire class?
No.
What the fuck?
There was vampire class.
What?
At UT.
Oh yeah.
It's once every other like semester.
Is there like a waiting list for it?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of, yeah. It was like a tenured professor who teaches a vampire class. No joke. One of the best classes ever took, because it was all about othering, which is an actually very relevant like sort of thing that's happening. Like when an entire society says like this one group is bad.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how the vampire myth over the ages was like a representation of which group the society was doing that.
So it's not all about the history of
Oh
vampires.
no, it was buck wild. It absolutely was all about the history of
Wow.
vampires. There was even a class where he was like, Jesus, the original vampire, and he was like, look, I've got forms for you to complain to the UT student government or whatever. He was like, fill it out here. I'm tenured. They're not gonna fire me, but just because if you're angry, here it is. And I was like,
Love it.
Bold.
great.
I love
So
that.
you could go major in vampires.
You could.
At
Well,
UT.
probably
But I do think that if you have the opportunity and like, and then you might get there and be like, you know what, this goes a waste, which is, you wasted a year.
Yeah.
Or,
That's why I say it is an expensive way. It's a great way to learn a lot about yourself and your interests. It can be expensive, so if you want to go that route, I encourage it. But be a little bit proactive. Make sure you are actively kind of testing things out and trying to expand your horizons.
Yeah.
'Cause,
I'll also say that there's other values in going to college. Like,
yeah.
I think for me, the most valuable thing, and for a lot of people at Rooster Teeth actually, is the connections that you make in college.
Yeah.
And the people that you meet.
yeah.
So if you do like a co-op or internship or whatever it is, and also just you meet people through your classes who, like, later on in life, if you're going down that career path, might be able to hook you up with a job or whatever it is. So, like, to me, that was the most valuable part of going to college. But also, it's just a very nice place to be where you're in high school and everyone has to be there, and there's kind of this mentality that, like, you could fuck off and, like, no one really cares that much. But when you're in college, like, you're surrounded by people who, for the most part, want to be there.
Yeah.
People who actually, like, care about an education and stuff like that. So it's a very interesting and unique environment to be in, and I feel like it's pretty valuable for a lot of people. But if you're not sure, there's nothing wrong with going in for one major and then switching later.
Oh gosh.
I would recommend maybe taking a slew of different courses and course types, and maybe if you have an interest in something else, you could.
Yeah, and that's the
change
thing,
course.
great thing about college too is that depending on, but I'm just using UT as an example. Like, you have career advisors, and you have advisors in your major, and you have, like, opportunities to reach out to people like alumni, and so, to talk to, like, figure it out. And I remember a very specific moment in my head that when I was, like, done with my bio major, and I was just like, I just don't want to do it anymore. I hate it. I'm miserable. And I was, like, crying in the shower, and I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I have no idea. And I always knew I wanted to work in, like, TV and film. And I was so conflicted with that because I was like, well, what if I, like, do that and then I don't end up doing anything with my life?
Yeah.
And, I was like, well, what if at one point I was like, well, what if I do social work? And then I was like, God, I can't handle that. Like, every day would be so hard for me. And so, like, I think you said it really well earlier. Like, we're all just trying to figure it out every day.
Every day.
Like, you just go through life trying to prepare yourself the best way you can. And I think going to university or going to college is a great way, not the only way, certainly, but a good way to prepare
There's
yourself.
also a lot of people that I know, even a ton of people here, who are doing something that had nothing to do with their major.
Yeah.
Like, Trevor was in aerospace engineering.
Yep.
Same deal.
I studied marketing, so I guess that led me to Rooster Teeth's community and
You
all that
leveraged
stuff.
parts of it and then expanded past it, for sure.
But tons of other people who've had.
I mean, I didn't do set design,
Yeah.
like, and I did RTF, but, like, that didn't have really any components of art department or set design or any sort of thing like that.
Sure.
So.
It basically is like, what I still use for my degree, if you will, is like, I learned how to learn. I learned how to accrue other skills. And so while I was getting that degree, the longer I was in it, I was like, is this really what I want to do? I minored in entrepreneurship because I was like, maybe I'll start a business and maybe I'll make something that, like, I can make money on, or, like, turn that into whatever. And then, like, while doing that, one of the hobbies I found was making videos. And I found Matt Bragg and I found Jeremy Dooley and I started making videos with them. And then this kind of snowballed. But, like, I didn't know how to edit or record or what. So it's just
Learning how to learn.
yeah, you just like, you have the luxury of, like, spending your free time learning things that you're passionate about, and then you can develop those into skills. And, like,
You knew them before?
before work.
They were all in the community.
I didn't know that. I feel lied to.
Gross.
That's awesome. Did you work
Did you work as an engineer before you came here?
Yeah, well, yes, I worked as an engineer at GE. During school, I would, like, take semesters to go work for them. Then I'd come back to school and I'd go back and forth. I worked in Schenectady for GE Energy, like, one semester, and then I was in Cincinnati with GE Aviation for, I think, 3 semesters. There's engines in flight now that have components that I helped design.
Look at you.
Hopefully they're still flying.
I worked on Spy Kids 4.
Better.
Did you really?
That's cool. That's so much cooler.
Way more
Yes, it is.
It was a bad time. It was a bad time.
Well, you know it's a good time? Wearing some comfy shoes.
Got it, Barbara.
This episode of Always Open is also brought to you by Rothy's. Rothy's has quickly grown to a most loved gotta have them brand. It's no surprise they have over 1,000 nearly perfect reviews. I have a pair of Rothy's shoes. Trevor's seen them. They're these little white flats. They're very comfortable. They have, like, a little kind of, like, blue and black bar at the back, giving a little detail. Stylish, comfortable, and sustainable.
Oh, nice.
And if you didn't know, let me tell you more about it.
Tell us.
Rothy's are the everyday flats for life on the go. They're stylish and versatile, and they go with everything from yoga pants to dresses to skirts. It will blow your mind that they're made from recycled plastic bottles. Told ya. In fact, Rothy's has diverted over 25 million water bottles from landfills. Another major bonus, they're fully machine washable. I didn't even know that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Throw them in there.
Every time they need a refresh, you can simply toss them in the washing machine. Right now, Rothy's has an amazing deal for our listeners. Use the code OPEN to get free shipping with no minimum. Get free shipping and free returns or exchanges on your Rothy's shoes, and trust me, you won't want to return them. Go to rothys.com, that's ROTHYS.com, and enter the code OPEN to get your new favorite flats and free shipping. Once you try on the shoes and see how comfortable and stylish they are, you're never going to want to wear anything else. So head over to rothys.com and claim this offer with the code OPEN.
It's very, it's just so cool. You can,
Yeah,
hey,
made out of water bottles.
water
Get a little
bottles.
scuff.
Awesome.
Pop them in the washer.
Pop them in the
Pop
water.
them in the washer.
Pop them in.
Yeah,
Is that their tagline?
Now it
should
is.
be.
Tell them.
That's what they do.
There you go.
All right, well, before we wrap things up, we have a box of issues question.
Ooh. Dynamite. I wish it went down.
Ooh, is there
Person who
money in
designed
there?
this box. Is there?
No.
Oh shit! You know what was one of the
that?
things that I said I was gonna do on the off topic?
Price tag.
Is it price tag?
Price tag.
On, I forgot about this because I became a different person, and this Mariel, coherent Mariel, she got left at home. On that day, I was gonna steal money from the tip jar.
Oh, is there?
There's a tip jar.
There's an active tip jar on that show?
On the off topic set. There's a tip
Where
jar.
is it? Is it there now?
Should I take it now?
No.
Free
you'd be-
money?
You'd be indirectly
Should I take it down?
stealing from Bernie Burns.
Dr. Mariel.
Bernie's the only person that comes by, leaves a tip, and grabs a beer and leaves.
If we
So-
had people giving us
those
tips
are
on
Bernie
that
bucks.
show, that we put a lot of money, we would have made a fortune.
Yeah.
Last week.
But
I've seen a box of money over there.
it's not a bar. It's like a
Box.
it's like a bar. Like you know the bar, like the
Like a jar.
box.
the jar. Yeah, it's just like a.
Mariel, should we pull off the greatest heist
can go pilfer.
ever known? We can get a Snickers bar.
That Mariel's deep down. She wants to come out.
Come back.
Come out.
Why don't you come back? Oh,
The secret is she's always there, Mariel. The
secret
secret is you're always
the
that
secret is,
Mariel.
I'm always angry. There it is. Texas
always
brought it to me.
Oh,
Give
is
it
that
to me.
it?
Oh, nice.
That was easy.
What a heist.
no, I don't feel like we've earned this heist.
Oh, it's,
You
it's like
ordered-
$4.
$20 in there.
No, I saw
That's
the
a
20.
$20 bill.
I was very amazed.
Yeah, you deserve that. Take
No one will ever
I'm gonna leave that there. I'll leave that
Okay,
there.
all right. Where'd that go?
There's a
I looked
$2
back
bill
and you
in
were
there.
just like,
Nowhere.
Where'd what go?
It's gone.
I don't know. There's a $2 bill.
$2.
Yeah, like that's.
Let me use my
I want
dainty
it.
little
I
girl
want it.
hand.
Get in here.
You got it. That's good luck.
Big spender.
Right back in.
Oh, crap. Stuck.
Anyway.
Ow, it's
Oh, it
sharp
is.
on the edges.
No one's gonna need that 20.
Yeah.
That's
that would-
actually-
I would have thrown this, but this is a classy show.
These are your, this is actually your salary in here.
Mary, I'm gonna need that back.
No, it's fine. It went away. I don't
Check
know.
this out. There's like
Gone
an,
into
there's
the
an
void.
easier way.
We're idiots.
Pops. Oh, well.
Is that how you
guess
do it
I-
in Texas?
Yeah, I guess I didn't even think like, that's
Put it where it can. There we go. Ah, I didn't. I
So
was
could
close.
get
You're
up
so
if you
close.
want.
You're so close.
but I couldn't
wait,
get up,
wait.
but
Oh God.
Jesus.
that's why we don't stand on this show.
That's why we're never standing again.
There you go.
That was a mistake.
We're good. Look, no spillage.
All right.
No spillage.
Box of issues, BOI. It's time for boys. Here it
Let's-
is.
Time for boys. Good boys.
Boy.
Boy. All right. This one comes from Grace. Hi, my name is Grace, and I'm 28 years old. I broke up with my ex-boyfriend of almost 7 years 1 year ago. We weren't really getting along at the time, and things didn't feel like they were really progressing between us. We didn't even move in together. We're still friendly, but the other day we kissed, and to be honest, I've never stopped loving him. 2 days later, an old friend of mine asked me out on a date. He's apparently always had feelings for me and waited for 8 years to take me out on a date. I don't know what to do. I want to give my friend a chance because he waited so long, but I also don't want to mess anything up with my ex in case we get back together. Help.
First off, you don't owe anyone anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for her to say
Very true.
he's been waiting for 8 years, girl, who cares? That's his problem.
Yeah.
Unless, I mean, if you have feelings for him, like, yes.
You should never go out with someone out of guilt.
Out of
Yeah.
guilt.
Because you're
or-
like, oh, it's been 8 years. I guess I have to.
Or like,
Yeah.
oh,
Like,
he
no, no,
really
no, no,
likes
no,
me.
You've
so
earned
yeah,
it.
so-
You
Yes.
followed along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that just the wording of that kind of set up a red flag for me. And I was like, wait, hold on. Like, you shouldn't go out with this person just because it's like they've been waiting in the wings for so long.
Yeah.
You should go out with them because you want to, because that won't end well if that's your motivation for it. But
sure.
I think it's once you know, if you've been in a relationship with someone for that long, you get to this comfort level that is really hard to separate yourself from. So like, I mean, if you felt like your relationship wasn't progressing, then it probably still won't.
Yeah.
Like, even after a year of being broken up, like a kiss.
Well, and it said that like they broke up with their boyfriend.
Grace broke up with her boyfriend.
So yeah, it's like I wonder. I'm always like, dang, what's the story there?
I know. Well,
that would inform a
it'd be
lot.
nice to know more context of like why they broke up in the
Yeah.
first place. If it was like a big issue or just she wanted to date more people or
What seems like,
know.
I mean, what did she say? They didn't move in together.
Yeah,
they weren't.
In the 7 years, yeah.
Yeah.
She said we weren't really getting along at the time and things didn't feel like they were progressing.
Gotcha.
So,
So, it's tough. But based on the information that we have, the common thread I feel like is that Grace is having trouble discerning between, because relationships it's a very long spectrum and there's a lot of overlap and blur between like not liking somebody and being friends, being best friends and loving somebody and like being in love to the point where you want to spend your life with this person as a partner. And like I feel like she's caught in the mix of this, because it is very confusing sometimes. In the mix of this like friendship, like you can love somebody and still want to support them and like but not want to be their life partner or at least their partner right now in that way, you know, in a relationship. So I feel like she's very caught up in this like, and she still is trying to sort out where she's at with these two gentlemen, I believe. And so like, yeah, I think I would say personally maybe like keep like sit on it, like don't fall back into the old relationship because that's what you still are familiar with, or you might still have that kind of habit built in, or jump to this next one because like you feel like you owe it to somebody, or like you're trying to it's okay to just be you and like just let it settle and see like how you really feel. You maybe need to find yourself in these relationships
without using other people's feelings as motive for anything. I think also another thing that I've had to remind myself in the past is that when you end a relationship, especially a long relationship where, I mean, ultimately that person is your best friend. You know everything about them, you're close, you tell them everything. And when that ends, you feel like it's almost like a death. And you feel like you've lost something. And you only tend to remember the good parts of it after the fact. And you tend to dwell on the things that you're going to miss about them rather than the reasons why it didn't work out in the first place. And so it's been a year since she's broke up with this guy after dating for 7 years. So seeing that person again, you probably have that rush of all the good memories coming back. And think like, oh, maybe we should give this another shot. And maybe you should. Like, I'm not saying that necessarily is the wrong decision. Sometimes it just takes people time to grow and to realize what they had.
yeah.
And maybe that's something that he went through over that year. But you got to also remember like the reasons you broke up, and if those are strong enough reasons not to go back into it with that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if I'm gonna put on like a detective hat for like a second on
Please
here.
do.
Because whenever she's saying that she's 28, they were together for 7 years, things weren't progressing between us.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, it seems like there was a question. I'm again just totally inferring here.
Yeah, Detective Max.
Detective Max.
Dr. Ariel.
But it seems like, it was like, are we ever going to get married? Is this a priority? And ultimately the answer was maybe not, but we really like each other. It's kind of what I'm getting from this. It kind of sounds like that sort of situation where like he's fine with the relationship as it is and she wants to kind of like expand beyond there. So like she made the choice to break it off, but like he of course is still going to have feelings. But the other thing is if you get back into that relationship, if he hasn't changed, he's going to just be doing the same thing.
Or maybe he has changed.
If I'm psychic and I'm right.
Well, as someone who has been in a relationship that was over 2 years long, and even over the course of those 2 years, even near the end of it, there was no next step in sight. It was like never discussed moving in together, never discussed marriage or kids. Anytime anything more serious was ever brought up, it was always swept to the side. And it kind of gave you an indication of like, maybe this person doesn't see themselves with me, or maybe they just don't see themselves settling down with anybody. And that's just like, a kind of personality that you could have, or which is no one's fault. It's just kind of like the way you are.
Yeah, I think like my husband and I got married at like basically right around the 7-year mark.
Yeah.
And that was when that conversation was going. So I was like, I think logistically, or like just it seems like there could have been that sort of thing. But yeah, other guy who's a friend of hers that's been waiting around forever.
Unless you have interest in him, I would don't do it because you feel obligated to.
Right.
I'll get a little, I don't know if, I don't want to say negative, but I'll get a little bit maybe cynical. And on her, doesn't say names beyond Grace, but like her ex of 7 years, like it can seem that it, like maybe this person took the relationship for granted. Like it's just easy because that's what we've been doing and we'll just keep doing that and like we'll have the relationship and it'll be here tomorrow and like let's just like, so you're not really like looking to foster it or grow it and like find that next step like you were saying. And maybe like when she's like, okay, well, maybe I think I want the next step or whatever. And so she ends up breaking it off here and then it's a year later and he maybe this is his type of personality. I don't know who he is, but like he might still be cruising and he might still be like, it's just easier. And I totally understand it. It's easier to kind of just go back to what's familiar. So maybe his incentive is like, yeah, well, he had 7 years of history. Like it's so he might be wanting it in that way. And like you were saying, maybe she's looking more in the positives. So I think overall my advice is just kind of like, just think of like, kind of just think on these feelings and maybe give yourself time to really like, either maybe find somebody else or explore other options or just like center yourself on these two relationships, you know?
After 7 years of dating, they've only been apart for a year. You know, that's a good amount of time to explore other people and other options, but like in the grand scheme of things, it's very short after being in a relationship, especially from, I guess it'd be from 20 to 27.
Basically.
Yeah.
It's your like entire, like that's
You change a lot in that time
huge
too.
part of your life.
Yeah.
A lot of growing years.
So I think if she does consider coming back with her ex, that they need to have a discussion of all the things that were issues to make them break up in the first place.
Yeah.
And if those are still issues, or if he has like a different mindset on those things, or if you have a different mindset on those things, that's something that they need to discuss before, I think, considering getting back into it.
I think she needs to pop on that Carly Rae Jepsen,
Yeah.
just dance in her room for a while.
Party
I think
for one.
everyone
Party
needs to
for
do
one.
that. Everyone
Party
needs
for
to do
one.
that
By
sometime.
the way, that advice applies to everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter what the situation.
Yeah, well, good luck, Grace. Let us know how it goes. You had a great time in your life, though. 28. I remember when I was 28.
Last year.
A year ago.
Yeah, me too.
yeah, me
One
too.
year ago.
Yep.
Oh, it was the beautiful times. It was the best of times.
There you go. Was the worst.
You're like an old man with a giant mossy beard in the bayou. Just,
I remember. We only had 60 cows.
it's like, aren't you 28?
Girl.
I can't do it.
Not now.
Forbidden from doing my cattle call.
It would.
It's too loud.
Max has a cattle call that he does that maybe we'll explore someday.
It's like
Explore it.
is it like a public ordinance? Is that what that's called? When you're like,
It's just like I would kill Mike. Like,
oh,
I would
Headphones
probably,
on.
And probably us in your vicinity.
Yeah. It just your skin.
Sonic
It'd be
we'll
full on
call you
Indiana Jones.
Shockwave, and you'll
Yeah,
be a
yeah.
super villain.
Shockwave.
And you'll
Yeah.
blast eardrums
Yeah.
left and right. Anyway.
Well, my friends, Trevor, Max, Merrill, thank you so
Barbara.
much for joining me today. Thank you so much for watching. As a reminder, before we close out the show, me and Merrill are actually going to be in Nashville on May 31st to June 2nd for Pod X.
We're gonna be chilling like Nash villains.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you think of that before or just now? Because that's impressive.
It's from Master of None.
Oh, okay. So come learn how podcasts are made, network with other podcast fans, and meet your favorite podcasters like me and Mariel. You can get your tickets at podx.com/always. Podx.com/always. That's with an X.
Wow, you're going to Tennessee? Because you're the only 10 I see.
All right, let's end it.
Wow.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
We just sniff now.
Yeah, that's all we do.
It's almost more intimate.
That's hot.
We get all the other senses on the mouth, so like I'll get close, I'll give a little,
Oh, that is
Little-
hot. Oh yeah.
little-
Give that mouth a good smell.
listen. And I won't taste it on camera, but I could. I could.
You gotta get
The option was there.
You're laughing. That's legitimately something we do. Couples are weird.
Oh no, yeah. If anybody saw any of the
I
stupid
stick my
crap
bare
that
ass
I
around
say-
corners, dude.
Yeah. All right. Well, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for being back on.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special segment we're doing with Always Open. Today we have a very special guest with us. We got Chelsea Fagan, co-founder of the Financial Diet, here with us today. Yeah.
That's my line. Oh, I literally say that every. How did you know? No, it's funny. You said that because after the guest, then it cuts to me, and I always say, well, it's just me, because we always have a guest who sits next to me, and it's hard to follow that up.
It's actually her catchphrase.
Well, it is also me, so it's true in this thing.
It's true for both of us.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Holy shit.
Very exciting.
I am very excited to have you here. First of all, everyone who watches this show knows that I'm a pretty big personal finance nerd, and that's mostly because of you. And probably, and like, a few years ago, I just pretty much since I was a child, and I probably shouldn't admit this, but my parents were very into child labor. We grew up on a farm, so they made me start working super
It's a hobby
early.
of theirs.
Oh yeah,
Child labor.
10 years old, started working, earned my first $1, and was like, I want to keep this money and keep it growing.
She
And
came
then-
right out of the womb, and they were like, get to work.
Yeah, they were just like, here's $1, take it. And so then I got to college and found your blog and found you, and just like, well, actually found you through Twitter because I thought you were hilarious, and then
thank
found
you.
the rest of it.
Yeah,
So
multifaceted.
This is really fun. This is like sitting with like a family member or something who's like just building me up
oh
to
yeah.
to a new
Anytime you
person.
need it, girl, I'm gonna go hype you up.
Yeah,
You tell me, you
just
call me.
Bring her around whenever you're going out in public.
This is very exciting.
Your hype man.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is funny because Meryl is kind of like our resident financial person here at Rooster Teeth. She knows so much about it and has been studying up and helping all of us because we're pretty much lost causes here.
I wouldn't say so.
That's more common than you would think. It's
Yeah.
much more common to be a lost cause than to be even remotely interested in money.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Right. So, how do we get here?
Yeah.
How did we get here? Well, I'm actually going to put you on blast a little bit that you
Okay.
asked me to share. So basically, I got into money because I was just extremely bad at it, is kind of the long and short, to the point that I was arrested, per your question, just prior to us coming on air here. So I should clarify, as I mentioned, that it was like the most uninteresting, non-badass
Right.
version of getting arrested, which is to say that
It wasn't like you saving a baby from a tree. And then,
Do people get arrested for that generally?
I mean, maybe if
How
they
dare you
Stealing
say
a
that,
baby from a tree.
yeah, breaking into someone's house, jumping
Babies
onto
and
the tree.
trees.
No, there was no murder. Like, no one's going to do like a true crime podcast about this event, unfortunately. But basically, but it all stemmed from money, essentially, because I would just get endless moving violations, parking tickets, and not pay them, essentially. Like, I would just be like, another parking ticket thrown away. And same thing with moving violations. And the thing is, if you do that with moving violations, they will come after
What's
you.
a moving
Yeah,
violation?
I was gonna ask the same question.
So anything
Like
that's
a speeding ticket?
it could be like a speeding ticket, running a red light, anything where you're moving and you
Gotcha.
violate the rules of the road. So basically, my license got suspended and my tags got suspended, and I continued to be like, doesn't bother me.
Oh,
like,
God.
does the car still start? So I was still driving, and I got arrested. Actually, directly in front of the house where I was living at the time with some roommates. Booked everything. I didn't serve jail time for it, but it was just obviously a humiliating experience. And I should clarify also that this was long before starting TFD. So there was like still another good 3 years of continuing to be terrible, but it was just that sense of like avoidance. I had ruined credit. I had no savings. So it was like, it started to feel that feeling of like, I'll just never be good at money. So almost like when you're trying to do a diet and then
Right.
you eat something and then you're like, well, it's done now. And then you just,
Yeah, I can never get back to that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that was me with money. So I started TFD to like get better myself, and then it grew.
How old were you when that happened?
The arrest or starting TFD?
Both. The arrest.
I was arrested, I think I was 21,
Okay.
probably. I started TFD when I was 25. So,
Okay.
So
4
only
years.
took
So
you
you
4
did
years.
have that amount of time in between you being like, shit, I need to get my act together.
Get my act together. Yeah, I mean, also, like, and we talk about this a lot on TFD, but so much of money, and particularly when it comes to anything like your credit score or a record or poverty, is once you're in it, it is increasingly difficult to get out. Because,
Right.
like, I had a ruined credit score from when I was 18, I got a credit card. You'll be shocked to hear this, but I ran it all through and then threw out the bill. So my credit score was like decimated. And once you have it, like you can't get another credit card that will help you build it back. Like
Right.
I eventually figured out how to do all that, but once you're there, it can feel impossible.
It is funny though when you are 21 or in your early 20s in general how like nothing has consequences.
Right.
Yeah.
It seems that way. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, oh, fuck it. Like, I'll do this, I'll do that. Like, what's it gonna matter? Like,
And
no
you
one's
feel
gonna
like
catch me.
Yeah, like it'll just work out.
Yeah.
You kind of have that mentality.
So tell me, I don't know much about it, but tell me about the financial diet
Sure.
and that whole project.
Yeah, so we're as a company, we're a company of about 6 women. We do.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yes, no men allowed. We have a YouTube channel. Obviously, we have a website, social media. We have a book, like just all kinds of newsletter media, basically about personal finance for young women.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
We like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
love
no
it.
Rooster Teeth, but
Maybe. One
maybe
day.
someday.
So the arrest is what got you into personal finance in the first place, or was there other factors
Well,
that kind of
so I should clarify that Mariel wanted to make sure I hit on the arrest.
I wanted to talk about that because we've never had anyone who's been arrested on this show.
as far as you know,
as far as you know.
Canadian Mounties after you.
never been arrested.
It's
I'm a
very
good girl.
Very possible. No, I mean, that was part of it. I think, actually, and I think I said as much in the initial blog post, like I was working at another media company with my now partner, Annie, who's over there just off set taking pictures like fun. So I was like getting a regular paycheck. I was earning $42,000 at the time, which was the most I'd ever earned, but still felt like a lot at 25. And
You were in New York?
I was in New York. And by that time I was in New York, and I had fixed my credit score. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it was a lot better.
Yeah.
I'd paid off. I had something like $2,500 to $3,500 in defaulted credit card debt. I had paid all that off, and I had like gotten. It was like each step up to that point, like since the arrest, that definitely pushed me into doing some things that I'd never done. But I kind of woke up one day and I was like, "You're 25. You have insurance. You earn $42,000 a year. You don't have student debt because I don't have a degree. So you should be able to have a really like healthy financial life. So
Yeah.
stop giving yourself excuses, essentially."
It's a good
How far between you starting that and then, like, when did that become like your full-time thing?
Pretty quickly. We got a grant actually from the Brothers Green, as
yeah,
it
them.
were, Hank and John, who are big YouTubers themselves. They had I think they still have it. It's like a foundation where they give small grants to kind of cool projects happening online.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so they gave us a $5,000 grant, kind of like within a month of us publishing stuff. We had just a website at the time, and then really soon after approached us, and we were like, this should also be a YouTube channel, and kind of helped
Yeah.
us start that. And we worked with them for several years, and recently kind of went independent with the channel. But having that initial interest and money obviously allowed us to. We formed the LLC. My co-founder and I left our jobs, so.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
when it
was
gets
fast.
real.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Abandon your other job that's like very stable to do the one thing that's like, hopefully this goes
Yeah.
somewhere. Hopefully it works out.
And I always do take pains to say, however, that my husband had a stable job as well, and he had health insurance, and I was able to freelance. I freelanced pretty heavily for that first year. So there were definitely, like, that's not accessible to everyone.
Right, which is one of the things I really love about how just honest you can be, because you see so many articles who are like, oh, I saved $100K in 6 months by like doing nothing, and then you find out that it's like, oh,
Using reusable toilet paper.
right, and it's like people are financed by their parents, or they like have a partner that they live with that helps support them and all of this stuff, and it's like, well, you're not being exactly
Yeah.
super honest with that.
Some
Yeah.
other factors that go into play.
Yeah, and that's what does it hurt you to say? I feel like a lot of people think, especially when it comes to like the privilege element, that if you acknowledge the fact that you had privileges, it detracts from what you accomplished. And it's like, well, it does to an extent, in the sense that you didn't, you were able to start from a closer to the finish line point.
Right.
But it's never going to be different by not admitting it. All you're actually doing is just obscuring the truth for everyone else and making them feel like, what am I doing wrong that I can't accomplish these same things in the
Right.
same frame of time?
Very true. Yeah. I wonder what you guys think of this whole. It's an article that came out recently about how Kylie Jenner was the first
Self-made.
billionaire,
Yeah.
the youngest self-made billionaire, and how there's very polarizing opinions on that
Right.
because of the status that she kind of was born into,
Yeah.
and family she was
Absolutely.
born into.
I think self-made is the dumbest term, first of all, for anyone. There's absolutely no such thing as a self-made billionaire, period. Certainly not in any healthy economic system, there's not, because at some point there are going to be, whether it's, just at the at a base level, the advantages that are accessible to people after a certain threshold of income, especially when you're getting into like literally the billions of dollars, the government is subsidizing you in many meaningful ways. So the idea of getting to that point completely independently is just ludicrous, but particularly for Kylie.
Yeah, I know. I saw. I was like, okay. Yeah. So you obviously, I assume, see a lot of situations of people spending their money wisely and making a lot of dumb and smart decisions.
Yeah.
But what is the worst piece of advice that you've seen in the financial industry?
There's a huge overlap between, especially in the personal finance community, between religion and personal finance, which is an intersection that a lot of people are probably familiar with in the term of like, in the context of like the prosperity gospel and televangelism, where it's sort of this, essentially using text from the Bible to reinforce this idea of like a financial feedback loop, like God wants you to be rich. There's a lot of that, but there's also a lot of really mixing together the idea of, whether it's kind of more like the secret end of it, like you're manifesting your money is a really big term, or if it's even more literal, like if you pray enough. And I think for me, the prevalence of that, some of the biggest people in the personal finance community really espouse these things.
Really?
And I think, quite frankly, to the detriment of everyone following them, because it has nothing to do with the validity of any particular spirituality, but to tie something as tangible and literal and often out of people's control as money and poverty to whether you're a good enough person or whether you're thinking about it hard enough or praying hard enough, I think is extremely dangerous, and it's really common.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. What about the best advice? AKA, please help me.
Yes.
This is my secret way of being like, you got any advice for me? A 29-year-old who's never been very smart with her money. Haven't really done much to invest other than my 401k.
But that's great. That's more than a lot.
Yeah?
I think that actually maybe statistically it's more than most people of your age.
Okay, interesting.
Which is so mind-blowing to me.
Which is, yeah.
It's just,
Is it because a lot of companies don't offer that maybe? Or I don't know, actually.
Partially.
Yeah.
But it's also partially because I think young people generally think that they will live forever on some level.
Yeah.
Or that they'll die young, maybe, but like they can't envision themselves as being retired.
Gotcha.
And so they just don't prioritize it.
Yeah.
But as far as the best, I would say the number one thing is, even if you change absolutely nothing, do absolutely nothing, start meticulously tracking your money. And that can literally mean making a budget that's just looking at what you have. Yeah.
No, it really does change. It changes a lot just looking at and how much you're spending. I do that now, and it's sometimes to my own detriment because I get super anxious about it. I'm like, why did I go and spend $30 on a thing I don't need? But
you should feel that. Actually, one of our editor, Holly, she has one of, I think, the best like mini tips that anyone can put into action, which is every month go through your bank statement and your card statements and highlight every item that or event or whatever that you don't remember buying. Because that automatically should be the list of things that you never buy again.
right.
See, I have subscription boxes. And
Things are the devil.
they're the devil because like every now and then you'll get one great one and you're like, this is awesome. I'm gonna keep doing this.
The Birchbox got me this month. I got an amazing Birchbox that made up for like 7 shitty Birchboxes, and somehow all of that is forgotten.
I had also subscribed to, do you guys know Rent the Runway?
Yes.
Yes.
I had subscribed to them, and it's like $100 a month, but you get to swap in and out as many times as you want, all these different clothing items and whatnot, which for someone who likes to buy clothes and usually probably spends more than $100 a month on clothes.
And you rent the clothes?
Yeah, so you get to keep it as long as you want and return it whenever you want. And you can pick something new when you return it. So you basically get, I think, 4 or 5 items at a time.
Do you think that that's just like their business models? Like most people are just too lazy to send back in the package, so they end up buying the clothing for a huge markup. Do you think that's the model?
It might be.
Probably. It might
But
be.
I contacted them because I was like, I want to cancel my subscription. It's like $100 a month. It's a lot.
That is a lot.
And it's like the pressure that they put on you of just like, why are you canceling? Can we get you
Don't
back
you want to
for
look
this
great?
cheaper price?
You're gonna look like shit.
And I was just like, it's just too. I can't justify it. It's so
Right.
much money.
Yeah, no, those kind of things, subscription boxes. And again, I think I just outed myself here that I'm a subscriber to Birchbox myself. But I mean, you have to really like weigh out what matters to you. And I think one of the things that's really annoying about the personal finance community is like they even have a term for it, the latte factor, about like really encouraging people to stop buying coffee out. And it's like, first of all, many people don't, so you've already lost all of those people. But also, secondly, if you really enjoy your daily coffee, keep it. Like any purchase, I think, can be justifiable in the context of it having real value to you.
Makes you happy, makes your
Yeah.
life a little easier, whatever it is.
Yeah, you just have to like separate out what is actually giving you fulfillment and joy and what is just kind of mindless spending.
What is like a very simple step that people could take in order to like, oh, I want to start saving money? What's like one small thing that you would give advice to do?
Set up at least one automatic transfer every month. A really good tip also is if you have savings goals, which I assume most people do, go into, let me back that up. Number one, first and foremost, never have your savings accounts, like your emergency fund, your savings goals, never have that at the same bank as your checking account. Because if you do, you will easily be able, like at the ATM, to move money over or to like not move that deposit. Like it's just too accessible. So once it's at, its own bank account, or its own bank rather, make each account, rather than just having a random account name, be the name of whatever the goal is, and then set up an automatic transfer to it every
Where do you think I
single
learned it from?
Is that what you do?
Yes!
You do that?
I have 5 savings accounts.
Hell yes.
Meryl has talked before
brag about it all the
at
time.
length about how she has 5 savings accounts. And
I got
me,
my-
someone who's very not knowledgeable, is like, why would you need 5? Like, don't you just need 1?
No,
You
I
have
got
5 goals.
I got my travel. I've got Christmas. I've got spending. Anytime I want, like discretionary spending. What else?
Do you have like retirement or?
I mean, I have my
future?
401k.
Okay.
But yeah. Yeah,
I just
it
don't
helps.
understand
And guess what? They're all in a different bank account, Barbara. I can't touch them.
Oh,
Yes.
see, for me, mine are
it
at the
hurts
same
to touch
bank,
them.
but I never transfer money out of my savings. I only put money into it from my check.
Well, that's good.
good baby.
But you may not even expect that temptation to one day come up. Like let's say, perfect example, like I follow a couple Twitter accounts that will share like really cheap flights. And sometimes I've used them for flights that I'm like, this was a good idea. But honestly, sometimes that's the kind of thing where you could see it and like impulse buy from your savings account, because you don't necessarily keep a ton of money in your checking account. You can like transfer over an impulse buy. If you have to go the extra step of getting it from a different bank account, you don't have it accessible on a card, especially for those like slightly bigger but more impulsitive purchases, it
Yeah.
can stop you in your tracks.
Interesting. Maybe I could avoid
I'm
spending
getting,
so much.
I'm getting chills. It's like I'm sitting next to like Mufasa or something.
It really is. You're just like your senpai right there.
I want to ask a question. Like, how did you? Was it just research? How did you become so well versed on?
I'm not, is the thing. Like, I have the functional knowledge of just like a person who's gotten better with money. I am not a financial expert. I have no degree whatsoever, not even a bachelor's in anything irrelevant. So like I have no qualification in that regard. But as we've grown, we have been able, we've had now more than one show that's hosted by financial experts. So we're able to work with people who can provide that expertise. I think it's more important for me because like when we do, I host the show every Tuesday, much of which is pretty research driven. And we have someone who helps with researching. And I think from my perspective, any information can always be learned. You can always look up anything about personal finance that you want to know. What really matters is making it understandable and making it compelling to people and making it make sense.
Yeah.
So I still feel like there are many levels of just the financial world that I am in no way an expert on, and many elements of my own financial life and professional financial life that I still struggle with. But I think remembering that the information is always out there. What matters is your ability to really metabolize it. To me, it's like more than understanding the nuanced differences between every kind of retirement fund out there. It's more important that you be able to picture yourself being old and wanting to have a sweet life.
Oh, I've pictured it.
Yeah.
All the time.
Go make that face in the mirror.
Yeah. I think about myself old all the time because I'm.
But we
approaching
should.
50.
Yeah.
We really should.
Yeah, I mean, my parents are retired now, so even just having people in your life that are experiencing that stage of life right now,
It's so
I think,
important.
helpful.
Yeah, and realizing also that, like, I mean, you know, not to get too political about it, which we do on the channel if anyone's interested, but we live in a country that does not guarantee a dignified retirement. Mm-hmm. It does not guarantee a dignified, you know, ability to be treated if you get sick. Like all of these things, like there is unfortunately an element to all of this that like we're all kind of riding down the road without seatbelts on.
Yeah.
Like we have to put on our own seatbelts, unfortunately.
That's very true. Last question I'll ask you. I'm very curious about this one. How is the financial diet making personal finance more accessible to people like me and Meryl, or just our generation, I guess, who might not?
Millennials.
The millennials.
Well, I'd be interested to know what you think about that.
Yeah, that was something I was going to talk about. Everything is just so easily digestible, and it's not scary in any way.
No pun intended.
Because I think a lot of what stops people from digging more into their finances is how scary and like overwhelming it can be.
Yeah.
Totally.
Right. And so that's probably why I'm the opposite. Because money scares me, that's why I'm like, I need to know everything about it. Whereas most people are like, money scares me, just fucking ring up my credit card and throw away the receipt. Like, I don't care. But it's super accessible. It's not just like, yes, most of it centers around finance, but there's also like lifestyle tips, which I think is great. And
Which also will help with.
like there's some like
Exactly.
there's like dating things and like like friendship stuff. Like there's also it's like a whole. It's very all-encompassing.
Gotcha.
Of especially of people like around our age.
More of a lifestyle, right?
Yeah,
Just like
it's a lifestyle. I see it as a lifestyle blog centered around finance rather than like a finance blog.
Oh.
Because
Damn, are you looking for a PR gig? Because like, man, you just like broke that down.
let me know, baby.
That
why
was
she's the
perfect. That's perfect. Yes.
I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I would also say one thing, and I'm sure Annie, my partner over there, who might giggle about this, but so she's one of the things that has held me back even to this day, because we're currently working on, as the business grows, getting better with managing the finances of a business, which is, let me tell you,
a whole nother level.
very different from managing
yes,
your finances
I
as a
get
person.
that.
But one thing that I've been learning in my recent efforts to try and get better at all of that is, and I think this is something that holds people back from their personal finances, is you think it's way more math than it is. Like, I am like really incredibly bad at math.
Me too.
Yeah, so are we. Like, so are most people, and it's really not that much math, particularly with the technology that's available out there. Like, I use Mint to handle like my budgeting stuff. Like, I don't have to do basically any math. I just have to be able to read, essentially. And a lot of the personal finance places out there, like, they really get into like the gamification of money, which I think is not interesting to most people. Like, you, as someone who's like really into it, might get to that higher level where it really does become a little bit more about the math of it. But for the vast majority of people, like, there's almost no math involved. It's simply making smarter choices and being proactive and like doing a little reading every month.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't wait to check it out. For those of watching who don't know where to find you, where could they find you and the financial diet and all that information?
Well, you can find me in New York City, baby.
What's your home address and your phone number?
So we're here on YouTube. We're at youtube.com/The Financial Diet. Most social media, The Financial Diet, thefinancialdiet.com. Book is called The Financial Diet. I think you get the point.
Yeah, very good branding all
Yeah.
around.
I love it.
We're still like trying to get a few of those handles. Unfortunately, Twitter truncates. It's too long for Twitter, which has made us have to be TF Diet.
As someone with the name Barbara Dunkelman, I learned that.
I was gonna say that must be a tough one.
Just be Dunkelman everywhere. just keep it simple.
Wait, does that mean you're in competition with Brian Dunkelman, former?
He spells his name differently than me.
Wow, you really dodged a bullet there.
But no, I used to watch American Idol, so
Yeah.
like Brian Dunkelman, I was just like, a celebrity with my name.
My cousin.
This is so cool.
Squatting on all of the B. Dunkelman handles.
Yep. Like
There
a
you go.
jerk. Well, Chelsea, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So cool. Very happy to have you on. Hopefully we could talk to you again in the future. Maybe come back for a full show,
Would love it.
financial
love it.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cheers.
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 Hello, YouTube audience. You've just finished watching this wonderful episode of Always Open. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a little thumbs up, give it a like, give it a little subscription down to the Rooster's channel, and check out these other episodes down here. You'll enjoy them.